Hey everybody, just getting set up, getting my tablet and everything going. Let me make sure this is turned down so we don't have echo. Hello, hey Jackie, how are you, honey? How are you doing? I'm hoping you're doing good. Hey, Jackie and Jackie. Both of my Jackies. How are you? All three of my Jackies. Hi, Jacqueline. Why are you angry? Jacqueline, why are you angry, honey? Hi, Susan. Hi, Marina. Hi, Tammy. Wow, lots of people here today. Holy mac and cheese. So today we're gonna do, oh, Lord have mercy. I hear you there, Jacqueline, about the UP, the Postal Service. Great day in America. Ugh. Hey, Susan. Hey, Sherry. Hi, Paula. So today we're going to do sepia. No, not a common name at all, Jackie. So this is the one that I decided we're going to start off a little bit easy, or easier. I don't know how easy it's going to be, but it's easier. And we're going to do Steampunk Molly. And I love sepia tones. To me, they're a lot of fun. I love monochromatic, sepia, that kind of stuff. But I like the sepia tones because it reminds me of some of the old pictures. I have these ones I found were from like the early, like beginning of the 1900s. But I even have some photos of my family from the early 1900s, but they're more of the black and white than the sepia. So we're going to be practicing on how to get those tones and my favorite tones for them. Oops, I just pushed on something. And we're also going to be doing later on Tuesday, we're going to be doing other stuff where it'll bring in one, like one color, like maybe this one, she's got a bit of pink going on. So this is going to be our class for a couple of classes. So we're gonna do Molly, and I started doing Molly a little bit this weekend, playing around with her and stuff like that. So I have a couple of them printed out here for us to use. And I'll put these ones aside. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I have to stand up. I'm too short to be zooming in without being able to see. Way too short for that business. So today we're going to be using the E41, not that one, E41, E42, E43, E44, E47, and maybe a smidge of E49, okay? If you don't have these colors, you can try it in different colors. But these are the best colors for sepia in my mind's eye. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. So we are going to start out with the skin. Now, one of the reasons I did pull out my E40 because I wanted to show you the difference between E40 and E41 before we get started. So with E41, okay, you're gonna get like a lightish, nice, tannish white color. It's actually called pearl white. With E40, you're going to get, they have what's called brick white, and that's more of a definite gray. And while these two will blend, you can tell going over the E41, the E40 kind of washes things out and kind of turns everything gray rather than keeping it that nice sepia tone. So we will not be using E40. Hi, Esmeralda. So we're going to start out with her skin, and we're going to use E41, 42, and 43. So we're not going to have a ton of different colors when it comes to her skin, because it's not going to take much to make her look nice and vintage. So I'm starting out with E43, and I'm just going around lightly. You can consider E43 as if it is your E11 and your E04 all in one right here. One-stop shop when it comes to sepia. So I'm just going in between her bangs and a little bit underneath, not a whole lot, because as you saw in the pictures, you can tell what is supposed to be light as far as skin goes and what is supposed to be dark. And like I said, all I did is I Googled, to get those photos, I Googled just sepia photography. That's all I Googled. And I'm going to do around her wee little nose. I'm going to go up just a little. Not a lot. And I will go ahead and come out with her cheeks a little bit. I'm going to come out a little bit along her hairline. Go underneath her lip a bit. And then I got to move her so I can get this other cheek and go up her hairline. Come down a little bit and go around here. So this will basically, you will get all of your cast shadows and all your other shadows with this E43 on her skin. Okay, so again, this is just like you're using it as if it is your E04 and your E11. So this is good for cast shadows, and so we're going to have a shadow under her hair, obviously. And she's probably leaning on a table or something of that sort. So we'll get underneath, and then we'll do where her glove is. And then she'll have a cast shadow from her shirt and go underneath. So now we have the E43 finished from her shirt. Hi Terry, how are you? So now we're going to go in with our E42. E42 is going to take up a large portion of her skin. So we're going to go ahead and go in from the eye, and I should actually go this way so I can get it right. Because you guys know me, I'm a puller, not a pusher. So go ahead and go in. We're not going to be using any blush or anything like that for this, because obviously it's not going to show up. We're going to get the rest of in between her bangs and come down a little bit. I'm going to flip her around. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put those little things by her little lips. Her little smile line things. There we go. That's why I was feeling a little bit off about this. So now I can do the rest of her little smile. Pull it out from her cheeks. Okay, and we're going to go right here underneath because there's always a shadow right there by her lips. I know it looks funky right now, but don't worry, it'll look better later. We're just going to go around and we'll do like a little thin line right here above her little, I don't know if I would call that a shirt, but I'm not sure exactly what you would call it. So it's her shirt for now. We'll just leave it at that. Hey Stephanie, how are you, sweetheart? I didn't even see you come in. And we're just doing small strokes, like seriously, just small, fat and kind of thin, not fat, but medium kind of strokes to get all that color in there. Pull her cheeks out a little bit more. I'm going to go out over this eye a little further. Because like I said, we're going to be using E43 for most of her face, or at least a good portion of it. So now we're going to use E41. And we're just going to fill in and make sure we blend our lines out. Don't overblend. Remember not to overblend. We're not going in all the way unless we have crazy lines, like right here. I've got some crazy lines I need to get rid of. Smooth those out just slightly. I'll smooth her little nose out. And since everything's going to be pretty much the same, you can just color right over her lips, because then later you can go in with a darker color. That's the nice thing about sepia. If you already know it's going to be darker than your lightest color that you're using, just don't worry about the lines. Because lines can be so frustrating sometimes when you're trying to do something. So like right here, I went out in her hair. That's okay, because I'm going to go back in with a darker marker, so it's not gonna, it's not gonna matter. It's okay. It's not gonna ruin my picture. And I just don't, I used to let things like that frustrate me, and especially if something had polka dots, oh Lord, I'd get so frustrated. But now, nah. Because I know I can go over it with a darker color and it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I did go in with her eye a little bit, so I'm going to have to go back in there with a colorless blender, but that's okay. Again, it's okay. Not a big deal. So I'm going to go back in with my E43 just a little, just to get those shadows. So I want to make sure that I keep those shadows. And here's where I can go ahead and put a little bit of color on her little wee lips. Make it look like she's got some red lipstick on or something. And I'm just using very, very, very fine flicks. Moving my pen. Okay, just about done. I might go over it again with an E42, but I might not. It kind of depends. Now, this is also where if you want to go dark, but you don't want to go that dark, you can use your E40, and that'll also give you some color. But you got to be careful because of that 0 on the end. It's going to blend stuff out real bad and make it look blotchy. So you got to be super, super careful with that 0 if that's the way that you decide to go. See, I put a little bit on there and now it's just like all blotched right there by her eye. It's going to make her look like she's got a shiner. Excuse me. Yep. I made it blotch. So I'm going to let that dry and I'll come back to it and we will move on to her hair. I shouldn't have put that 0 on there. So the hair, I started out with E47. Okay? Remember to stop me if you all have any questions, okay? So I'm going to start with her bangs. And this is going to be real, just fine strokes. Okay, because there's not a whole lot of room in all these little sections to do hair. So I'm starting with E47 and I'm just doing some small strokes. And if you're brave, you can go underneath in her goggles too, but I've never been that brave. I've just always kind of left it. But you can go the translucent route if you want to and go underneath her goggles. And again, it's just real short, fine strokes. So now I'm going to go to her little, the roots of her hair in the center, her part. And I'm not going all the way out. I'm just going partly out, especially underneath her goggles again. And then I tend to just, because I'm not going to go that way because I'm not a pusher, I'm a puller. So I'm going to go ahead and do this side. That way I'm not flipping back and forth all over the place, all crazy. And then I'll do, whoops, that was a little thick, but I'm going to do her little bun. And this I'm going to try my best to do kind of rounded strokes. That way it looks like her little bun is actually going around. So now I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the top of her bun. And I'm going to do the sides that I did not get. So now I'm going to come from the bottom half of her little bangs and just do some short, fine flicks because we want to leave that highlight in there so that it looks like the sun is shining on her hair. And the easiest way to get that is to go, you know, from either end. Oops, I forgot to do this side. Now this one, I'm just going to go all the way over to the hat because she's going to have dark a dark shadow coming from the hat, and then she's got her roots. So I'm going to go ahead and just go all the way across, and then here she's going to have the shadow coming from her hat again. So I'm just going to go dark all the way back. And then same thing for this bun as the other bun, is we want to do kind of curved strokes. That way it actually looks like it's rounded. Okay, now we have hair back here, which is going to be dark because that's going to be covered by her hair in the back and her head. So I just put a few thicker lines in there. Now for the curls. Curls are my nemesis, I will tell you right now. So when I'm doing these little flicky curl kind of things, I usually start out by just bringing this all the way out like this. Okay, all the way around the outside. And then I will start at that point, use that as my starting point, and come around. So all the way around the bottom, and then use it as my starting point. And this one I'm going to come up all the way right here because we want that dark contrast line. Let's see, and then that one. That way it looks, because you see that they're drawn to where it's like different sections, and this will kind of separate that out and make it really stand out. Now I'm doing just the tips of this part of the hair. And this one again, just bring it all the way around the bottom. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And then just bring it up from there. And it's okay if it doesn't follow the artist's lines, because we're already making it look curved, so that's okay. And I forgot to do the tops of this one. There we go. So that was E47 for her hair. Now we're going to do E44. So now, because we don't have very much space, normally I say, you know, draw the E47 and then just bring it out with the E44. This time we're just going to go in between because the space is a little bit small and we don't have that much room. This will allow it to look as if there's a bunch of little strands of hair. And it'll give us a little bit more contrast. So right now I'm just going down the bangs. And the other little side hairs that she has going on here. And these are, again, are a little bit thin, but you can do some that are a little thicker if you like. And I'm bringing that out a lot further than what I did with the E47. Now her buns, we're still gonna do the, this keeps moving. We're still going to do the little curvy lines. I was trying to think of the word. My mind went blank. Thank you, Paula. I hope that it makes it a little bit easier, because those kind of curls are, they're my nemesis completely. I have such a hard time with those kind of curls. So I'm going to flip her around and I'm going to do the other side of her bun. I'm still leaving a bit of contrast in the center though. I'm not coloring it all in, but with a sepia, you almost want to. You don't really want that white in there because that would take away from the rest of the sepia coloring. We want it to be lighter, we just don't want it to be white. White would kind of stand out. Now if we were doing a black and white, and that's all we were doing was black and white, then most definitely we would want to leave that white because that would look amazing. But not for this one. So now I'm doing the bottom of her bangs. Again, just short, thin kind of flicks. Barely letting my pen touch the paper. Now we'll do all her little danglies, as I call them. And these wonderful curls that don't like me that much sometimes. Again, just going in between. And the thicker ones I'm trying to kind of smooth out a little bit, so I am kind of blending those out just a bit. Now to do this back hair, that's going to stay dark, so I'm not coloring that in too much, but I don't want to not, you know, I don't want it to be just black, like a straight line. I still want it to look like hair. Go ahead and go up. This one I'm just filling in the white and pulling it up. So I told you I didn't want to leave white because that would take away from the sepia. So I'm going to go with my E42, and anything that's white I'm just kind of lazily flicking in some E42 because it still gives it that contrast. It still makes it look really a lot lighter than the rest of her hair, but it's not weird looking if you leave it white if your whole thing is going to be sepia. So just filling it all in, and it doesn't need to be perfect. You can go over the other pieces too. It's just going to bring a little bit more life and a little bit, it's just going to make it look shiny and pretty. And we can't forget her buns, or as Meadow calls them, her Leia buns. So here we go. So her hair is about finished. There we go. So her glasses, her contacts, or her goggles, not contacts. What am I talking about here? It's probably because I'm thinking about, do I want to put some E47 back in there in her hair, which you can, or let me show you this way too. Thank you, Stephanie. So E49, you can go in there and put a bit of this. And this will definitely give you, if you put that E42 in there, it'll definitely give you some of that darker contrast, especially like right here. If you just run it slightly across this line here, it'll make it look as if her little her little danglies here are actually standing out. Okay, so even if I did it like right on this side and just ran it down ever so slightly, it looks like it's actually dangling down. And that is a nice thing for contrast, using your darkest pen, but not using it all crazy like, but it'll make it look like stuff is actually, it'll bring it forward and give it a little bit more depth. Okay, so you can do it around her ears if you like, and then kind of just bring it down. That way it kind of blends it out if you put a few little flicks in there. And then you can also do it even with her little buns to make, oops, I'm gonna blob here in a second. To make it look like it's really standing out, you can bring it to the bottom of her bun and leave the top of her bun, and it'll make her bun stand out. So again, just at the bottoms where it's closer to her head, where you would definitely have some shadowing and some darker contrasts, you can push those buns back and make the rest of her head kind of come forward a little bit. And if you wanted to really pull this part out, you could bring that up and just a few flicks, not a bunch, but a few. And then, like I said, put one right there so it'll pull those two apart and it'll look like it's behind the other piece. So right here, and just kind of bring that around. Okay, so that's how you can make her hair stand out even more. And then her goggles, what I used for her goggles and for her goggles, I just kind of did those just one color. But for the lenses, because remember we said the E40 was kind of more of a gray than a brown, her goggles, the lenses, I just went ahead and filled in with the E40. Okay. And then you can use E43 for your shadows. Put a little shadow here, because that's going to be, you know, to the side. And we're going to have a little shadow here, because that'll be to the side. Ooh, it just got dark in here real fast. Because if I have the sun coming from this way and the sun coming from this way, these side pieces are going to have a bit of a shadow, especially inside here and right here. It won't go all the way across because you're going to get some of that sun hitting inside her goggles, but you'll get some. And then we're going to use E42 for the rest of her goggles. And you can go ahead, if you wanted to, you could even do 42. Like put 42 here and bring 42 around the sides. Make sure you do that with 42 because there isn't gonna be any sun hitting right there with her goggles being up so high on her head. And then kind of bring it that way. Bring it around here. And then you could always just use E41 if you want to get some more contrast and highlight in there. I keep having to look up, make sure I'm staying in the camera. So there is her goggles. Okay, her hair and her goggles. Now we have her hat and her clothes left. And you can definitely tell, even when you look at the pictures on the internet for sepia, you can tell if someone's wearing something really dark or if somebody's wearing something light. So if you want them to wear something really light, like say this. So I wanted it to look as if the ribbon in her hair and the main part of her dress was more of a white and early, you know, and just maybe like a really light tannish color, if that. But then I wanted her bodice thing to look really dark, like maybe a purple or a red or something of that nature. So I wanted that to look dark. I wanted her necklace to look as if it was like maybe a dark, you know, like a ruby or something like that. So that's going to be darker. Anything black is going to be super dark as well. So her lips would look like they had, you know, like red lipstick or a darker lipstick on. So you just have to kind of, you know, look at those Google pictures because, let's see. Let me see if I can find something really fast, because we have time. So, whoops. Let's see here. Come on, open, open, open. Do you guys remember that Mervyn's commercial? Open, 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 open. That's what I always think of. Let's see. And now you guys can see that my hair is up today too. So let's see. So like this one, you can tell the little girl's wearing a white dress. Oh, here's a good one. So here you can tell like his shirt isn't really white, but come on, can I get you to be bigger? Nope. So you can tell it's probably not white. It's probably like a blue or something, but you can tell that this little one, their clothes are white, but they have darker. So his is probably like a dark brown or maybe even a black. Same with hers. And you can tell that hers is white, but you can tell she's got little flowers on it. Here we go. So, but you can tell that there's little flowers on her shirt, and you can still tell what color things are pretty much. You just have to know how to change that. Okay? And that's what, so if you wanted her to have like a white shirt, instead of here I made her have a darker shirt with darker linings, you could do it that way. So for her shirt, I used E43 and E42 for the base, and then the lining, the edges of it for her sleeves and around her little jacket, that was E49 and E47. So, but if you don't want to do it that way, so like her hat, say I want her hat to be, let's see, we'll do her hat lighter. So we'll start with an E42. And she'd have a little bit of a shadow here. Okay. kind of go in. And then we're going to use E41. And you can tell that her hat is much lighter than her hair and her goggles. If you want her to have a lighter band instead of that one, you could even go E40. Because that'll kind of give you like a really kind of a gray. So you can outline it like that so you know what you're going to do. And then the E41, bring that in because that'll make it a little bit darker. And then go back in with your E41. But just do it lightly. Don't push it down. Believe me, I've messed up so much stuff with E40, it's not even funny. But by having mistakes, you learn what not to do next time. So let's give her some little white gloves. Let's see, we're going to start with the right side of the pen, not the wrong side of the pen. We'll give her some white gloves. And even though most of the time you learn, oh, white, you want to use a C, but with sepia, not so much. Sepia, you want to make sure that you stay within these markers. Let's see, we'll even do little white on her little, I don't know, what do you call this? What do you call this part of her jacket? What is that? Like a seam? It's not a seam, because I know it would be covered with like seam binding or ribbon or something like that. I'm not a seamstress, so I don't know what that part of her jacket would be. So, and then we'll go in with just ever so slightly with the E40. And I'm not even covering the whole thing. I'm actually leaving some of it. Well, nope, I'm going to cover the whole thing. Never mind. Change my mind. And then I'll go back in with the E41 and change that up a little bit. But I'm doing it like super light. I mean like super, super light. I'm barely touching the paper with my marker. So I'm going to go in with my E41 again and make sure I get underneath, because the underneath is going to be a little bit darker, obviously, because it's shadowed. And then go ahead and come up. So the inside of her shirt, we can make that darker. So I'm going to go with the E47. I'm just going to come right along here for the shadows. And I'm going to do it ever so small. I'm going to treat this just like I would my E04 for skin. And just keep it nice and small. And I want to keep it kind of small because I want those shadows there, but I still want to be able to tell the difference between her hair and her jacket. And if you want to, you can kind of, you know how like puffy sleeves kind of have that. like a little bit of a flare, like they have a little puffiness. Can always do that too. So that was the 47. Now I'm going to do the 44. And I'm going to pull out that 47 even more. And I'm leaving a little bit of puff right there, so I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to fill that in just yet. I'm going to go ahead and pull that 47 out with my 44 on her shirt. And I'm just doing really small flicks, okay? Just real small. Now, if you wanted to make her shirt white as well, you would still use the E40 and the E41. But like I said, just be gentle with that E40. It can either be your friend or it can be your enemy. What is that called? A frenemy or something? Now I'm going to go in with E43 and I'm going to go ahead and finish this out. And that way you still have the contrast, but you know that her shirt is dark and not light. Now I have been going around these little button things because I'm going to fill those in with an E42. Those are going to be filled in with a lighter color, so I don't want to go over them with this dark color. So, and then E40, whoops, I said 42. Not 41, 42. And I'm just going to dot that in there. There we go. Now, if you wanted to go back on the white, say you wanted to make a little bit more of a contrast with her glove that's underneath, you can go in with 42 and give that a little bit more of a shadow underneath, because we know that's going to be shaded with the way that the sun is going or the light is going. If you wanted to make more of a, you know, with the ripples of the hat, you can go in just really thin. And you can have some more ripples with the hat. However you want to do it, but you want to do it really thin, especially on this image, like super, if I can do it, super thin. Okay, so just be gentle. Remember, the harder you push down with your pen, the thicker your stroke is going to be. So the less you push, the better it's going to be. So here is this one. Do you guys have any questions for me at all? Any questions? So Tuesday, thank you, Susan. So Tuesday, we're going to be working on this one. This one's it's the same concept as the Marcy, okay? But it's a little bit, you've got more shadows, you've got more shading, you've got more of the flowers, and then I'll show you the eye, how to do the color of the eye. I like to do a lot of like the sepia or black and white with like a pop of color. I think that's a lot of fun, and I think it really makes everything really stand out. So we you can do this image as well, but I already said we'd be working on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick with that image just in case anybody has already bought this one. So this is what she looks like beforehand. And this is how she looks with the sepia tones. And she's actually a lot of fun in black and white as well. And we will be doing black and white. Where did that go? We will be doing black and white images as well. So don't worry, I'm not going to teach you just the sepia tones. I will teach you black and white as too. There are no practice sheets for this one. Sorry, Terry. I didn't get permission for it, but you can practice on any image you want. I mean, you could even practice on, let me see what I got laying around my desk here. You could even do sepia on these guys. So you can practice, you can actually pull, you know what, Terry, I will pull and link up, I'll put a link in the description. And you can actually practice on the Marcy that we have. What's her name? Why can't I think of her name? Heart Locket Marcy, I think is who it is. So, but it's the same type of face, same type of hair. You can practice on her. She's in the skin unit right now, but I will go ahead and link that practice sheet to the description of this video so that you can have her, okay? So if you don't have this one, there's still a La La Land Crafts image that you can practice on that I do have permission to make a practice sheet out of her. Okay? So I will go and get that done, and then I will see you guys on Tuesday for this one. This one, you will find the link to this image in the events page. Just click, see if I'm on my phone, it's at the top, I think, and I'm new Facebook instead of old Facebook. So old Facebook, it'll be on the left side of your screen. If you're new Facebook, it'll be along the top, just like on the mobile. Okay, so just click on the events for Tuesday, and the link to this one will be in there. All right. And I will try to get a hold of Mitzi to see if I can, because this is an older image. So I'll see if I can get a hold of Mitzi and see if I can actually make a small practice sheet out of this one for you. Okay, so I'll see if I can get permission for that. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Practice, practice, practice. Show me what you're doing, how it's all going, and then I will see you Tuesday. Let me know if you have any help, or if you need any help, or if you have any questions. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.